Alright, so WBC Super Flyweight Champion Carlos Cuadras successfully defends his title against Richie Mepranum via 8-round retirement TKO. Basically, Mepranum refused to come off his stool for the ninth round. The win goes to Cuadras due to that. Cuadras advances to 35-0-1, while Richie Mepranum falls to 31-5-1. It was a pretty good fight to start off. Mepranum showed that he was pretty game in the first round, but Cuadras pretty quickly took the play away from him, pretty much in that first round, and on into the second, third, and fourth. Mepranum started fighting back pretty well. In the fifth and the sixth, he managed to catch Cuadras with an occasional good right hook and a good left cross. But Cuadras was mixing it up to the head and the body very well. He has a bit of a boxer, a little bit more of a boxer mover style, but he's also a guy that likes to throw in combination when he lets off his offense. He's not so much of a pot shotter, especially against the guy that he knows that he has faster hands against, which was the case here against Mepranum. Mepranum, of course, is a southpaw. Cuadras is an orthodox fighter, and Cuadras was finding actually a pretty good home for his left jab to the body, as well as the left jab to the head, which is pretty rare for an orthodox fighter against a southpaw, which kind of speaks to Cuadras' skill, as well as, of course, the right hand to the head and the left hook to the body. Mepranum started, as I said before, was fighting back pretty well in the fifth and the sixth, but Cuadras started to dig in with strong left hooks in the seventh round and had him pretty badly hurt at a couple of points, as well as landing clean right hands to the face, and he basically just wore Mepranum down, frustrated Mepranum, and Mepranum's success was pretty much short-lived. I mean, he had little pockets of success in the first, the fourth, and the fifth, but outside of that, the action and the pacing of the fight was pretty much dominated by Cuadras, and Cuadras probably didn't really lose a single round throughout this fight. He was able to cleanly and conclusively dominate Mepranum, whose most recent big name opponent was Juan Estrada. Estrada TKO'd Mepranum in the 10th round. Here, of course, he got stopped before the ninth, just before the ninth. Pretty comparable performances, in spite of the fact that Mepranum was moving up for this fight. Although officially they both just barely weighed in over 112, in spite of the fact that this was a 115-pound super flyweight fight. Cuadras weighed in at 113 officially, and Mepranum weighed in at 112 and 3/4 officially. So they both made weight fairly handily. Cuadras went in there and basically just not only outboxed but you know. Beat up Mepranum, forcing Mepranum to retire out of probably just exhaustion, frustration, and overall damage done. It was looking like the way that 8th round went, like that Mepranum probably wasn't going to go the full distance, the full 12, so he wound up retiring. And Cuadras moves on to possibly bigger and better things. Of course, I made a video back Saturday or Sunday talking about Cuadras had called out Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada both after defeating Mepranum. And Chocolatito already responded saying that he'd be willing to fight Cuadras for his next fight. So that would be Gonzalez moving up to 115, his fourth weight class, to try and win a fourth world title in a fourth weight class against Cuadras. And that's a very tough out for him. Cuadras could potentially be the toughest opponent that Gonzalez has had in terms of what he's done before Gonzalez has fought him. Gonzalez has fought Yutaka Nida before, who had accomplished some great things before he fought him. He fought Yagashi, who had accomplished some great things before him, and Manuel Vargas is another one. But Cuadras is the guy that has several defenses of this title under his belt already, in spite of the fact that he won it under somewhat controversial situation against Sisakit Rungvisai. He was leading on all 3 cards against Rungvisai, but it got stopped by a technical decision due to a head clash in the 8th round. So they went to the scorecards. Rungvisai has managed to make himself the #1 contender for Cuadras' belt again, but they haven't mandated that they have to fight next. So it's entirely possible that Gonzalez could fit in there as an optional defense, if not possibly Estrada, but it's looking like Gonzalez probably has first dibs on that. Gonzalez is, of course, a WBC flyweight champion, so this is WBC champion versus WBC champion, potentially. Um, Cuadras also has a style that Gonzalez hasn't fought recently anyway. He's got a bit of a more of a boxer mover style, a bit more akin to what Estrada brought. Although I'd say Cuadras actually is more fleet-footed than Estrada. He moves around a lot more. He's not as much of a guy that kind of sticks and counter punches with as much authority as Estrada, but he ratchets off combinations with very fast hands, fast feet. He makes himself a compact target in spite of the fact that he's 5'4", so he's a little bit taller than Gonzalez, and I'd say he's about evenly sized for the weight class in general. But Cuadras is 35-0-1 now with 27 knockouts. Very tough opponent, and he's pretty much rated no lower than 2 than second at 115 pounds. The only guy that has an argument over him would be Naoya Inoue, who managed to blow out the former number one fighter, Omar Narvaez, in 2 rounds. And then, of course, recently blew out his mandatory world leader Perenas in 2 rounds as well. Cuadras, however, has the broader body of work at 115 pounds than Inoue, as well as a broader body of work than Kohei Kono, as well as McJoe Arroyo. So he's basically the most accomplished, long-standing champion of the group at 115 pounds. So it's an excellent fight. Should it come off, it'd be basically the number 1 fighter at 112 moving up to fight either the number 1 or number 2 fighter at 115. Excellent style matchup. 2 guys with plenty of experience, plenty of world championship experience. 2 guys that are boxer punchers, guys that can cut off the ring, guys that can move around the ring. Cuadras is a stick and mover, a guy that fires off in combinations, just like Gonzalez likes to fire off in combinations, albeit Gonzalez prefers to come forward. So this is definitely a good clash of styles should this fight come off. And I think it's going to be a very interesting fight, potentially one of the toughest fights that Roman Gonzalez could be fighting right now at either 112 or 115. I'd say Cuadras is right up there with Inoue and Estrada as being a guy that could provide a lot of technical issues for Roman Gonzalez, along with the fact that he's a bigger, stronger fighter than most of the past opponents of Gonzalez, which is logical, arguably. Not arguably, but which is logical considering the fact that he's up in his 4th weight class, the biggest weight class that he's ever fought at. So 115. Well, I mean, the biggest weight class he's ever fought at for a world title. He's had a couple of stay busy fights there before. But 115-pound champion, Carlos Cuadras, WBC super flyweight. He did the damn thing. Props to Cuadras for a dominant display over a pretty good contender. Cuadras versus Chocolatito is an excellent fight to be made. Nice glossy records, so they could sell it to anybody and everybody that's unfamiliar. But Cuadras is a solid fighter, solid boxer. All around great skills, and Cuadras versus Gonzalez, I mean, I'm ready to see it, and I hope all you are too. Check out the description box, and you'll see Cuadras versus Mepranum. The full fight is there, and I mean, just check out a dominant display from one of the top boxers in this weight range. Alright, that's it for this one. Peace.